Aujourd'hui, dans cette salle, vous pouvez...
In this room this morning, you can speak French, English, German, Spanish, and Italian. If you need to listen to interpretation, you have headsets available to you, and you can listen to the interpretation from French on channel 3, English is on channel 2, and German is on channel 1.
German, Italian, and Spanish in this room. If you need a translation, you can use the headphones in front of you. To hear the German translation, press 1. For the English translation, press 2. And for the French translation, press 3. And now, please welcome Mr. Martinez-Guillen, Head of the Information Office of the European Parliament in Strasbourg. Mr. Martinez-Guillen.
Bonjour à tous.
Good morning. I wanted to welcome you all here to the hemicycle of the European Parliament here in Strasbourg. And I also wanted to pass on to you the warm wishes from the 751 MEPs in whose seats you are sitting today. I'd also like to send you the warmest wishes from the President of the European Parliament, Mr. Martin Schulz. I think this is already a very impressive room. You're in a room where, in 2 weeks' time, we're going to be holding a plenary session of the European Parliament. The seats that you're sitting in today will be used by the MEPs who usually sit there. And I am standing at the podium, which is actually the place which is where the visitors, the high-level visitors, are invited to speak from. These are visitors who are welcomed by the European Parliament. Not so long ago, we had the Pope, Francisco, who came along here, and it's going to be the King of Jordan who's going to be coming to the European Parliament in the next couple of weeks to speak to the MEPs who will be here in the European plenary session. You are all European citizens, and I think that you all feel every day, most of you will feel your European identity. Most of you have got in your pockets the same currency.
Théodore et Ισμήνη nous viennent de Grèce. Merci de les applaudir.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and as we say in Greek, kalimera. We greet this meeting from Greece, the country of the Olympic spirit, dialogue, philosophy, and democracy. We are proud to participate in Euroscola because it gives us the chance to discuss about the problems in Europe with you and the possible solutions. We come from Crete, the 5th biggest Mediterranean island. Crete is the cradle of European civilization, combining ancient with modern history, and was a cultural crossroad for many people due to its unique geographical position. History is alive in Crete in the strokes of Cretan lyra, reminding us the Minoan civilization, the disc of Festos, the first European sample of writing, the Cretan Renaissance with Vincenzo Kornaros in literature, the Maskinos, and of course El Greco in painting. Continuing with Nikos Kazantzakis and Odysseas Elitis, the Nobelist in literature, Markopoulos and Hadjidakis in music, Eleftherios and Sophocles Venizelos in politics. Crete has also developed many important centers of education, such as the University of Crete, the Technical University, the Foundation for Research and Technology, the Mediterranean Economic Institute of Hania, and many others. All of them collaborate with large European centers for the progress of sciences and research.
The last months, though, you might be aware of the current affairs that take place in our country, since all European media are bombarded by news related to the unsettled situation that exists in Greece. We don't know your personal opinion about Greece's stay in the European Union, but behind the financial analysis, as well as the sunny islands that you visit and admire, there is the impoverished Greek people whose dignity being lost day after day. It is a fact that despair and stress have overwhelmed my fellow citizens who, without any support, try to cope with the financial commitments which surpass their own capabilities. On the other side, young people like us face the future with insecurity and fear, knowing that unemployment rates have reached 60% and immigration to other countries is considered a dire need. Besides, you have heard the numerous examples of young Greek people who have distinguished themselves in European countries, offering their knowledge and personal work to fields such as natural sciences and medicine. And as if this were not enough, fascism and Nazism reignite in the very same country that beat it approximately 70 years ago. Nevertheless, as young people, we keep dreaming. We keep dreaming of a new Europe, closer to its citizens, constructed on its universal values of solidarity, collectivity, and mutual respect. We are dreaming of the day when each and every one of us in this room will have regained his lost unity and cooperation.
We believe that Crete can contribute to the improvement of the European quality of life by taking advantage of its natural resources and its scientific dynamic force. We know as Greeks how to fight and discuss, and we are ready to do this for a better Europe. Kazantzakis once said, "Love man, because every man is you. You have your brush, you have your colors, you paint paradise, then in you go." Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Le numéro 13. 1, 3.
I am Ισμήνη, I am from Greece, and my question has to do about our economy. The truth is that we do want to pay our loaning, but we do not want to do this in a way that exhausts our people. So, the new government that we have right now has a plan, and all it needs is a chance to make this plan happen. Why is it hard to give this chance to the government? Why is it hard? Thank you.
Non, tu le fais.
We always say that it takes two to tango. So the political party that just won elections in Greece had a platform, but that platform has to be accepted by other people, because the experience has taught us that whenever there is an election in a country, there are new parties that come with magic solutions that they think are going to solve all the problems. But no government in any country has the goal of increasing debt or trying to force people out of the country because there isn't work. But the platform, whatever it is, has to be discussed with the other partners. If you're in the EU, you have given up a little bit of your sovereignty, a little bit of your competencies as they're known, or powers, if it were, as it were. So the EU does have a role to play. They must be consulted and give their opinion. If a country has debt, then somebody has to pay that debt. Who is going to pay that debt? The Greeks or the Europeans? That's why there is a discussion. That's why there is a negotiation. Of course, a lot of trust has been put in the new Greek government. But I think that now we have to see what the Greek government is capable of. They might have a great plan, but then they have to be able to implement it and to be able to make sure that that plan is brought through successfully.
Number 12.
It is an undeniable fact that Euro crisis has triggered many problems, and the problem relations between countries is one of them. These days we're focused on how to solve our economic issues. How can the EU borrow money from other countries and lend them to other countries and so on. And by neglecting all the others, we haven't realized that we ourselves have been creating a huge gap between the countries. For the Germans are talking to Greek people and the opposite, for instance. And that shouldn't be happening in a united Europe, as at least Monet, the architect of European Union, imagined. So what can the European Parliament, what can the institution of the European Union do in order to face and solve this? Thank you.
Many thanks for this question. I suppose you're from Greece? And I'm grateful you are taking up an issue which was touched upon by Leone also in the presentations. As we heard from Leone, Parliament is quite critical of how the Commission and the European governments first approached the crisis. Parliament is very critical of the Troika model, and it seems that over the past few weeks the Troika is, let's say, maybe out of fashion. You were saying that it's over the crisis we haven't paid enough attention to the fact that within Europe there's quite huge gaps in the standards of living between different countries. Maybe other issues have had more importance on the agenda. However, cohesion policies is one of the most important policy areas the European Union deals with. And cohesion means adapting the standards of living in Europe so that all Europeans have more or less the same or equal standards of living. And I think Europe is not the source of this gap, but rather the opposite is true. Europe works towards cohesion, and it's the biggest share of the European budget goes into cohesion policies. And I remember the last big battle over the European budget. There was a group of countries which called themselves Friends of Cohesion, and those countries, notably the new member countries, wanted to preserve or even boost these policy areas, whereas others who for the moment do not benefit from those cohesion funds but did benefit from them in the past, like the old member countries, wanted to reduce those funds. But it's one of the biggest shares in the European budget. Another instrument or new idea which is part of the European legislation and which could be interesting, especially for your country and the plans of your government. One of the ideas is fighting corruption, fighting tax fraud, in order to fight the financial crisis and prevent new crises. Already a long time ago, the EU or parliamentarians here in the Parliament had the idea to create a European public prosecutor who would help member states to fight tax fraud, because the idea is that's not a national problem, that's a trans-border problem. And this idea is currently gaining shape. It's being debated in the Civil Liberties Committee, and it could be very interesting, especially for countries whose governments put an emphasis on fighting corruption. And this idea doesn't have the support of all member countries, but has the support of at least 11, 12 member countries, and could become reality. And then you could also benefit from it, and your government could solve the problems by contributing at European level to the creation of such an instrument.
Se posso aggiungere...
Perhaps I could add two things. I just want to explain the logic as to what the European Union has done in terms of what it was doing to assist the countries in crisis. Let's take the example of Greece. So the question was raised by someone from Greece, so I think that's good to take that as an example now. The idea is really that there has to be solidarity. That was one of the fundamental principles that was enshrined in the Treaty of Rome. So if countries are in a difficult spot, then they need assistance and should get assistance from other countries. So Greece needed assistance. Money came from the European Stability Mechanism to assist Greece. It's not something that just comes down from the sky. It's something that was a request was made for it, and then other people assisted. And there were taxes that basically paid for that money. And countries that were in a difficult spot, like Spain and Italy, also contributed through their taxes. They also were struggling, but that is what solidarity is. So we cannot believe that Europe will be able to resolve all of Greece's problems, because Greece's problems are Greek problems. They are specific to Greece. The money that comes into Greece and that comes out of Greece, well, they have to be, that is money that has to be brought forth by the Greeks. They are going to have to deal with reforms, difficult reforms, hard reforms even, but for the sake of making sure that Greece can find a situation of balance in the future. Europe can assist, but only if that balance is found again. I think that's clear, and I think that on the side of Greece, this has to be understood, because that Europe cannot solve everything. It's just a temporary measure, really. It's a measure of safeguarding, temporary.